the Extra Finnings podcast, your home for all things Monarch baseball. As always, I'm your host, Matt Wurzberger, joined today by Bo Cowan and the head coach of the ODU baseball program, Chris Finwood. We've got a lot to get into, but first a reminder, Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group is the presenting sponsor of Extra Finnings. Atlantic Bay believes lending peace of mind goes beyond mortgages. It's been a little while since we've convened here, had some scheduling conflicts last week, just a lot of travel for Coach Finwood and the Monarchs. A lot to talk about. We'll start with, of course, the 9-2 win at number 5 Virginia last Tuesday. Coach, that was definitely a much needed win for the team after coming in off the UTSA series, and it's a resume enhancer when you come down to it. Correct?
Yeah, I think absolutely. It's anytime you beat University of Virginia in any athletic event, it's a big win, I think, for ODU people, certainly. And, they were ranked, in the top 10 in the country at the time, and it's a good RPI game. And, those 3 wins last week were worth about 70 RPI points for us. So it's a good step in the right direction. And we played very well. We threw a lot of strikes. We made a number of really good plays on defense and had some big hits, and took advantage of them walking us a number of times, which is uncharacteristic of them. And Matt Kootenai, got off his week off to a great start that night with a double and a home run.
We'll get to Kootenai in a little while. Harry Minium did a great story on him earlier today. I encourage everyone to go check that out on odusports.com. But for me, it all starts with, and I guess pun intended somewhat, it starts with Tommy Gertner, a guy who struggled his past 2 outings before the Virginia outing, and he goes and throws 4 2/3, just allows 2 hits against, at the time, the top scoring team in the country. That is certainly what you'd qualify as a bounce back performance from a guy that you're going to need moving forward.
Yeah, Tommy did a good job throwing strikes. He kept them out of hitters' counts and made them put the ball in play. And, when he's done that, he's been effective. Like you mentioned, his last 2 starts, just behind and walking guys and getting himself in bad counts. And now, that was just a much, more normal start for him. And it gave us a good, veteran guy to get into that game. And really everybody else that, he gave up the 2-run homer to Teal, but they didn't have any other big hits. And everybody else that came into the game did a really good job. Henry Hersom got him back out there again, for an inning and third. And, the second week in a row, he's come in and, gave us a good solid inning out of the bullpen. And then everybody else that came in did a good job as well. Brad Dobzhansky threw the ball well for us. Jacob Gomez threw the ball well for us. So it was a good, staff effort. And, we certainly needed it. Got our week off to a good start. When you got 5 in a row on the road and the first one's at Virginia, who's having a great year, it's a tall order, and got the whole week off to a good start for everybody.
Yeah, talk about a start to your collegiate career for Henry Hersom. Started out at ECU and turn around next week. You're throwing at Disharoon Park against Virginia, the top scoring offense, but he's been fantastic. And to have him come available midway through the season, it's almost like a trade acquisition if you were a professional team.
Yeah, it'd be nice, to get him recovering so we could use him on the weekend as well. That's the goal. And hopefully we're moving forward in that. When you only have a 27-man roster for the weekend, you got to kind of pick and choose who you're going to use. And sometimes that's based on who feels fine. And so Henry's, coming off some arm issues, and so we've been trying to be real careful with him on that standpoint. So, but yeah, he's throwing the ball well. Hopefully he can keep it up. It's a big, he's such a different look. He's 6'7" and has a quick arm, and so it kind of gets on the hitter a little bit. So he'll throw again, tonight, and see how he does.
And then lastly, we'll just touch on Brad Dobzhansky for a second. Obviously, Jason Hartline and Noah Dean get most of the headlines, especially going into the season for good reason. But Dobbs has quietly put together a season that you have to be proud of, ERA under 1, and it just kind of goes under the radar. I don't think a lot of people think about or really talk about his production for the team.
Yeah, he's done a great job. His last 3 or 4 hours, he had a bad outing against Charlotte, but other than that, he's really thrown the ball well for us. And he's another guy that's had some arm issues, but he's up to being able to give us 2 innings at a time and throwing strikes. He's got the good breaking ball, so that's adding another really good piece for us here in the last 5 weeks of the season, certainly.
Bo, what were your thoughts for that Tuesday win at Virginia?
The Tuesday win in Virginia, I thought we really kept the pressure on them, kept the pressure on scoring more and more runs, and just kept going. And Gert did a really good job of keeping the ball down. And I knew when he kept the ball down and they were for strikes at the first inning, I knew he was going to have a good day, because if he keeps the ball down and keeps it below the hit, looking like strikes, but if not being strikes, and then swinging over it, that's when I knew that he's going to have a good day.
And yeah, he was on his split finger for changeup for a strike. Got a number of ground balls on that. So when he's doing that, he can be very effective.
Mm-hmm. Sort of an interesting, unusual week for the Monarchs. You stayed away from home after Virginia. You go to Richmond that night, quick flight in the early mornings to get down to Birmingham for a 3-game series with UAB. It was supposed to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It ended up being 1 game on Thursday, doubleheader on Friday. You take the opener and split the doubleheader on Friday to win your 3rd CUSA series of the week. Any win's a good win, especially on the road. But given just kind of how wonky the whole thing was, I think you're especially happy to get out of Birmingham with the series win.
Yeah, anytime you win a series, it's a good win. It's certainly anytime you win a series on the road, and our crazy year continues. We played 3 of our first 5 conference series on the road, and we've won all 3 of the road series and lost the 2 home series, which is really unusual. But I mean, it says a lot about our resilience on the road, I think, but we got to play better at home. And so hopefully we'll start that this weekend, against a very good Florida Atlantic team. It certainly won't be easy, but they haven't played great on the road typically this year. So, maybe we can take advantage of that. You never know. They're well coached. Their coach, John McCormack's been doing it a long time. He's a very good friend. They play hard. They got tons of talented kids. They can really swing the bat. And so, we'll have our work cut out for us without a doubt.
Blake Morgan gets you off on the right foot again, 5 shutout innings. He hasn't allowed a run since you moved him into the Friday rotation. Any concerns on your end about starting a freshman on the weekend? Obviously went away by the end of the UTSA game, but certainly now there's no doubt that he's a bona fide Friday starter.
Well, I mean, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they all mean the same thing to me. So I think it's about trying to win the series. And we just, at the time with where we were at, we didn't want to move everybody around. So the easiest thing to do was just plug Blake in on Friday. And he's done a good job both Fridays so far, 6 shutout innings and then 5 on short rest. He could have went back out there, but on short rest, we just didn't feel like we needed to. And, so, he's got a couple extra days this week, from Thursday to Friday, an extra day for him. And, so that'll be good. And, he's just got to keep it up. When he's got that changeup going, he can be very effective. And, the guy throws strikes, guys seem to play well behind him. So those are all important things.
And then Nick Pantos starts the game 1 of the doubleheader. Probably not the best performance you could get out of him, but he grinded, he kept you close. And as always with the bats the team has, you don't have to be perfect on the mound, and you pick up the win in game 1 to win the series. Home runs again from Kootenai, Trice, and Bell. And then, Sam Armstrong battles in game 2, and it just wasn't enough. I'm sure that was a really tough position for Sam to be in, a Sunday starter starting a game at about 7 p.m. Eastern on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, none of it was perfect, and Sam did a fine job. Again, he was on real short rest to go Sunday to Friday. So he was the guy that got shorted the most, certainly, and he kept us in it. We gave up some runs out of the bullpen that let them expand the lead in that one, and just couldn't quite get back in it. So guys were dragging, at the end of that deal. I was really proud of them, and you go on a 4-game road swing and you win 3 out of 4, and including the win at Virginia, you got to feel pretty good about that. And the big picture part of it. So, and it certainly, UAB is a good RPI team. So those 2 road wins certainly helped us as well.
Yeah.
We play good defense too. Kyle Edwards, I think, has really helped us shore up that second base position defensively. We turned a number of double plays. Kyle got some bunts down to help us have big innings, got a couple of hits. He's doing a really good job. I'm proud of him.
And the play he made, going away from second base and going into shortstop and throwing it back. I was like, yeah, he's a bona fide college shortstop.
Yeah, he can play defense without a doubt. The bat's got to keep coming. He's a good runner, runs the bases well. He's a good bunter. So we'll find ways to make him an effective offensive player right now. And he just wants to play, so he'll do whatever you ask. Some of that's refreshing. We got such a veteran group. It's nice to have that, that fresh face in there sometimes. He's just happy to be out there. And I kind of like that. I enjoy it.
You mentioned the bat needing to pick up for Kyle. He actually has a hit in each of his last 6 games, 7 of his last 8. So it is actually starting to come around. And I'm curious if anything has to do with him committing to switch hitting, because it was about that time he moved back over to the left-hand side or right-hand side of the plate against righties. Could you just kind of go into that decision for him to commit back to switch hitting and what you've seen from him since he did so?
Yeah. It's unusual, for a kid to start switch hitting in college, which is what he did. And in the fall, he showed some propensity to, swing the bat fine from the left side. I actually think he's got a pretty good swing. He just needs strength, but it was bothering his follow through was bothering his throwing shoulder. So the right shoulder. So we had him start keeping 2 hands on the bat. We kind of took the switch hitting away for a little while. And then he said his shoulder started feeling better. So he wanted to go back to it. And I didn't see any reason why not. So, he's been a 100% switch hitting since then. And he's, we've seen mostly righties. Now we'll see a lefty tonight to start. So he'll hit right-handed tonight to start the game anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
then let's turn our attention to Matt Kootenai, CUSA hitter of the week. He had 5 home runs over last week, including 2 in a game at UAB. Very quietly number 2 in the nation in home runs now. And it's come at a time when Garriola and Trias and Bell have cooled off a little bit. So it really came at the right time. Talking to Harry yesterday, he credits a lot of this to putting a contact lens in his right eye. And Harry talks about a kind of funny conversation the 2 of you had down at FIU. Can you just tell us a little bit about that exchange?
Well, Logan and I were commenting with each other about how he'd been struggling at night. I think a couple night games in conference play, struck out a few times and hadn't gotten a hit or hit the ball hard and was missing a lot. So, we just talked to him, hey, maybe you need to get your eyes checked. And he said he just got a right contact lens, but he hasn't been wearing it because he's not really used to it. And it's like, well, you might want to, let's see how it works. And he put it in against East Carolina and, had a big night, 3 hits, a homer, and all of that. And he's kept wearing ever since then. He's just been hot as a firecracker. So, he's having a fantastic season, and what a great kid. I'm really happy for him.
And finally getting some of the attention he quite honestly probably deserved earlier on, but, hitting behind Garriola, literally and figuratively, he overshadows you. But again, a really humble guy. We learned he played defense in hockey, kind of the guy that was blocking pucks, taking the hits, doing all the dirty work. So he's used to kind of churning away in the shadows, but it's always good for someone like that to get their time in the spotlight, especially when he's such a high quality individual. Like, he wants to get into county administrative government once his time with baseball is done.
Yeah, following his dad's footsteps. He's a fantastic kid. He's about as Canadian as they come. He's the nicest guy around.
Yeah.
But very competitive, and he's got such a even keel about him. Like, you don't really see him get too down or too up. He just really enjoys playing and being a part of the team and helping lead the guys to win. So it's amazing to think that he's got a shot at, legitimate shot at breaking the single season home run record here. I mean, he'll tie it with 4 more. So
yeah,
he's got a real good shot at breaking it.
Yeah, Coach Guzzo, who's of course a big Yankees fan, mentioned the Roger Maris Mickey Mantle race in '61 to Harry and I when we saw him yesterday, and that's the truth. We've got a race between Kootenai and Garriola, first to 20.
Yeah, that's pretty neat to have a chance to have 2 guys to do it, and really 3. Carter's not that far away either, so pretty impressive, and that's a nice side story, I think. But the home runs are only good when they help you win games. So hopefully they can keep hitting them at the right time and help us continue to win.
Bo, you've obviously gotten the opportunity to know Matt very well over the years. What's your impression on him?
He's a really nice. He's a really good player, but he's even better person. Just down to earth. Like, you don't even know. He's the same person if you went 4 for 4, 0 for 4. You know what I mean? He's really nice and just does his thing and doesn't worry about the spotlight too much, and just goes about his business. He's really nice. He's been nice to me ever since he got on campus. So
yeah, he's that kind of guy. He's a great ambassador of Old Dominion and certainly our baseball program. And, he's one of those guys you can't find anybody, teammates, opponents, it says a negative word about the kid, because he's just that guy. So a lot of fun to be around. We're all very lucky to have him in the program.
Let's turn our attention to the road ahead. This is quite honestly the defining 3-week stretch of the season by all accounts. Home series with FAU and La Tech, and cap it off with the road series at Southern Miss, who's at least top 10 in one poll. You've got the return game with Virginia at Harbor Park. It's very possible to look up in 3 weeks and RPIs in the top 50 back in the national rankings seem to still be on track for an at-large bid. Can you just kind of talk about the importance of the next 3 weeks for the team?
Yeah, there's no question about it. This is and not that the last 2 series won't be important either, but this is the stretch that we all knew, and kind of pointed to on the schedule when we saw it, especially league-wise. And you throw, a couple games in there against Virginia. And at that point, we didn't know UAB was going to be as good as they were as well. So started off with a really good UAB team. And so these next 3 weeks will 100% make or break our season. And we had a good talk about it yesterday as a group, because I wanted the guys to understand where we were to get and have the potential to get in that large bid. We need to win the rest of our series, plain and simple. And probably play well in the tournament in the conference tournament as well. So that's just where we're at. But he probably could have looked up with 5 weeks to play last year and said the same thing. So we had Charlotte coming up a couple times and things like that. And so it's no different. But I just wanted the guys to kind of know, like, it's time to not look around and count on somebody else. It's time for everybody to be ready to play their best and take it on, your shoulders to play just a little bit better and work a little bit harder. And let's see what we can do. Because when we play well, we can beat most people. We've shown that. And when we don't, we can get beat by most people. We've shown that as well. So it's up to us. And, it's we got a couple guys out tonight. We're just resting them because it's going to be kind of a chilly, wet night, and we need those guys ready for the conference play. So it's some opportunities tonight against William and Mary for some other guys to step up, and that's why you have a team. But we need to, we're going to need to play our best to have a chance to beat these guys. Fortunately, the first 2 weekends are at home, and we've played well at home, although, we have lost our last 2 conference series at home. Overall, we played very well at home. So we got to, pick that up.
Yeah, you harken back to last year, sort of being in a similar position. It's always been an asset to kind of have this championship DNA still on the team with practically everyone coming back. But I'm sure that in this moment, it's even a greater benefit than it has been. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, the position players, practically everybody coming back. We lost some really good arms, and that's a big part of maybe some of the issues we've gone through. But without a doubt, I mean, the guys know what it takes. They've done it. And I think it was important to mention it to them, but also mention it to them that this is really no different than last year. We didn't think about it in that terms because we didn't have that, other than the 8 games against Charlotte, we didn't have that kind of stretch. We had 2-week stretch, maybe not a 3-week, but so it's a little bit different from that standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Bo, what's your take on what's coming up for the Monarchs? It's got to be exciting to welcome FAU and La Tech to the next 2 weekends.
Yeah, it is it's very interesting. But like you said, it's it's out in front of you. Just do. You want to have control of what you're doing. So if we control what we can control and play like we're going to play, there's a good chance we'll win those series. You know what I'm saying? But I'd rather have it in front of. Have a goal in front of me, knowing what I do, than having to have people to rely on people to help us get to where we want to be. So it's in front of us. We can just do what we got to do, and I'm excited to watch it, especially with La Tech and FAU coming in.
Exactly. Well, we're sensitive on time today. We're obviously busing up to William and Mary and a couple hours, got lunch to eat and all that good stuff. Anything else anyone wants to add before we get out of here?
Oh, we hope some people will come out this weekend. It's supposed to be really nice weather for the Florida Atlantic Series. And then also next Tuesday at Harbor Park with UVA coming in. I'm hearing we're having some pretty good interest in that game, and we're hoping for a big crowd. It looks like the weather's going to be nice, the extended forecast. So if you haven't made plans to come out there already, please do. 6 o'clock next Tuesday, the 26th.
That's right. Should be the big show in town that day. And for what it's worth, kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge here, we're kind of doing our research on state attendance games for collegiate baseball, just making sure that the mark we said a couple years ago hasn't been passed. So kind of tells you how optimistic we are, and it should be a good crowd.
Yeah,
very good crowd.
All right. If nothing else, we'll obviously preview that Virginia game next week and talk about the FAU series. Look ahead to La Tech. Until then, thanks for joining us on the Extra Finnings podcast. Take care.